the wait no more. Let's stop it. But wait, I want to introduce myself right quick. My name is Armando Mack, and I'm the founder of reKNEW Co. And basically, I started the business by basically to show people a guide towards their highest self through health, through holistic health. So you will come to me usually with like a stress point, right? But I will usually use what you give me to show you where the source came from. Usually, it's through an emotion or a thought or a reoccurring habit, but usually they show themselves in the forms, and I'll just provide practical solutions using holistic health to guide you back to where you want to be. That's me. Also, I'm a Reiki master, so I deal with the chakras very intimately. I'm done talking.
Okay, all right. My name is Vanessa Wilson, and I am the founder of a vegan meal prep service called the Veganease. I'm sure everybody here knows what I do on that front. And I am an embodiment coach. So I work with creatives to help them embody their confidence and own their skills, own their crafts and gifts in order to embody freedom, in order to be free. And that's what everybody is living for, right? That feeling of freedom. And when you realize that it's just a switch of a mindset, life just really opens up for you. So that's what I'm here to help you do, assist you through, and just by being yourself and doing what you already do and just owning it. So are we like, we're diving right into everything that we laid out, right?
All right.
So we're here today to unpack healing from inner child trauma, right? So do you wanna kick off?
Oh, actually, you have to kick it off. We starting off with your art.
Okay. So what I think about when I hear that, right? I think about children. More specifically, I think about Black children because I am ultimately a Black child, right? And I come from Black children and I give birth to Black children. So to me, the Black child is hope, is the embodiment of my dreams. And so when I think about all of the things that I have been through as a child, and that I still go through as an adult, I'm learning that I need to unpack it, heal from it. Like it's related to the reason why I make these bad choices, the reason why I have to get hit upside my head 18 times before I learn one lesson, right? It's the reason why I'm yearning and searching for love and appreciation and nourishment, because those are not the things that I got as a child. And a lot of it comes from how my parents were raised and how their parents were raised and the conditions that they were living in when they were growing up. And, you know, all related to, of course, slavery. And it doesn't begin there, but that's where the trauma lies. A lot of it is there. And we're reliving it in literally, it's stored in our DNA. So having understanding all of that, I'm like, okay, our job as adults, as people who are awake, right? Awake enough to see what it is. Are we going to continue that? And I'm noticing that this generation is saying, no, we're not. We're just not. And we're doing everything that we know how to do. And we're open to learning so that our children don't have to, you know, keep on with these things. We're literally breaking these generational curses. So I say all of that to say, I wrote 2 poems at very separate times, but the first one is called Dear Black Boy. And I wrote it with the intent of writing my unborn son a letter. How he is going to make it through this world as a Black boy, as a Black man. and what his role needs to be. And the reason why, and you guys will see, so I'm going to recite both poems. So there's a gift. um, and um, and I'm very nervous right now, by the way, so I just gotta let that out. But besides all
Please
of
don't
that,
be.
thank you, boo. Thank you.
You of all people, Van, come on now. Don't do that.
See, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, Van. I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you brought that up because I go through it too. Like everybody goes through it. All the experts, right? It's just a literal conscious and deliberate effort to keep doing it. That's the only way you're gonna get better, and it never really goes away. But you gotta make an effort to show up for yourself. So I try to be as vulnerable as I can and just let it out because that's what makes it easy for me. But thank you. But to continue on, I realized that as little Black boys growing up in the community, their advice is to, or they get the advice, what, toughen up. You can't cry, you can't show your emotions. You got to be the tough man on the corner. Like, you got to hug the block. You got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're the carrier for your family. And so you don't have room for emotions. You got to keep on with the keep on. You got to be strong. And then on the flip side, the Black girls get the coddling. They get the be pretty, look as good as you can. That's what's gonna get you through the world. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta be smart. You're gonna find yourself a good man, depend on him, and you know that those are the narratives that have been passed down. So my whole intent with these two poems, and they were created, I believe, a year or so apart. But I feel like they need to be performed together because they are a statement of rewriting the narrative for our Black children. All right. So the first one is Dear Black Boy, and then I'm going to go into Dear Black Girl. Whew, okay. Dear Black Boy, it's a shame you don't see what I see. Hold on. I done mixed it up. Dear Black Boy, melanated man or carbonated one, when you hear this, I need you to know that this is my song to you unsung. Hear me as I pull you close with my tongue to tell you that you are the very definition of my sun. Shining so bright by nature, you wake the sleep. Your presence brings me the joy of an overactive peace. So much of a peace of mind that without even trying, you teach me not to fret the gray skies. I watch you rise to a world that's opposed to you. And I know that crying isn't something you think you're supposed to do. But what is not watered cannot grow. And you'll never know how much you're loved before you begin to love yourself. So as the rain pours down, let me remind you that you're dripping with wealth. And no, I'm not referring to that designer label on your shoe or that icy symbol of bondage around your neck. What I mean is the potential I see for you to pass on your innate divinity to the next. Yes, sounds complex in this world, but my son, you'll see how effortlessly you shine when you study Mother Nature, because it's in your very nature to become saturated in teachings to understand the divinity in yourself. The more you study what you're made of, the greater your inner wealth. Your well-being upon which no man can take. Your greatest power is your ability to create. So create vast mountains of love above streams of incoming truth, and plant the seeds to bear the trees of the healthiest fruit. You do know you're only here for the youth, right? So be the light that you are and rewrite the narrative. I know that pain and trauma has dimmed the place you've inhabited, but we don't need to hear it no more. You grown, crack the whip on dependency and take care of your home. Black man, you are gold. Please remember that the light behind the illuminated moon is you. So thank you. That's Dear Black Boy, and this is Dear Black Girl. Dear Black Girl, it's a shame you don't see what I see. That man-made covers can't make up what God made you to be. I wish you'd make over your definition of beauty. one that highlights confidence in your skin tone and accepts your hair texture, where you could see your fro as your crown and not as a grand gesture. You know, beauty with no pressure. I wish it were easier for you to live in your truth, one where you wouldn't have to sell yourself to a man in a suit. I know what you're thinking, sis. Look, I ain't judging you. But on my way up Lawrence Hill, I heard it could all be so simple. So I tried, and it is. Black girl, you and me in this world can only live one of two experiences. Either unapologetically unattractive to some lame, or unapologetically unattractive to some lame, or unnaturally packaged and tamed. This shit is a circus, and we were made to entertain. Black girl, it's a shame you don't strut in your lights with your head held high. And I know it's hard because all they respond to is your backside. But oh, my melanated woman, fuck them in a different way. You the one with the labor pains. You the mommy that they cry to when they need their diaper changed. I call you sis because I miss you. You were whole. Now your definition of peace is finding you a mister. I just want more for you. I can see that you don't love what you're morphing into. Shedding the cocoon as a moth with butterfly potential. Black girl, don't you know? This one is a little newer. Get through it. Black girl, there's no secret that we know exactly who you are and still love you. The question is, when will you receive that you are absolutely beautiful? Thanks, guys. So that last one was a little rough. At least I felt that. But I hope y'all heard and received and felt all of that. With those two poems, I'm really unpacking and I'm really saying a lot, right? And it's more so presenting it from the from a solution-based perspective. Like what is the actual medicine that we can give our little boys to grow up and first learn how to nurture themselves, to be able to nurture to help their women nurture the community. And that's what it's about, that unity. So also giving the young girls that message that, no, you need to know your power. You need to know that you are God, literally, like you birthed humanity. And it is till we really embody all of that power that we're going to change the effing world, like, period. And so when I think about healing inner childhood trauma, I'm going back to say, this is what I would have told the little girl in me. This is what I am telling the little girl in me, to woman up and to blossom. And womaning up doesn't mean getting stronger and like letting go of that inner child, that nurturing mother inside of you. What it means is to embrace it. What it means is to bring it out of you and love yourself unconditionally, and be you. And I'm also telling that to the little boys as well.
That's a whole lot. That was a whole lot, and I'm glad we started with that. And I just want to let on the record that that's my first time hearing that, and I'm glad. So I was able to experience that, in a spectator point of view. So that was amazing, and also that's a great segue to the whole topic at hand. You knew more than I would on that. Because definitely, I feel like when we talking about raising children like that, and I don't want to offend anyone who is or who are parents, because I don't have children, but it's some things that can be said regardless if you have children or not, that we should know that is right and wrong, what is detrimental and what is beneficial towards human life, right? And we're gonna get to a lot of things, but first I want to talk about like gender roles, things that we assume on genders just because. For example, when we deal with the man, and it's funny because the way that she expressed, or the way she was talking, Vanessa was talking to the man, it was in a more a, a feminine approach, a more nurturing approach. Whereas, because I noticed that a lot of men either had that stripped from their life, either the the, the father would didn't allow or wasn't able to express his emotions effectively, or not in front of the wife, or that type of dynamic, or where one parent is out of the picture, and it will, because that also plays a part with the mental and emotional development of a child. Once that is either is altered or affected, that that process of the undevelopment of a child just going throughout life without it being fully developed is going to allow a lot of dysfunction, right? And then a lot of dysfunction, when more people do it, we consider it normal, but normal doesn't mean healthy. And a lot of things that we want to introduce back into parenting is having a more emotional intelligence given to the male at a young age, so they're not able to will come in this life and they get broken down, or being forced to suppress all these emotions because they don't want to be perceived as weak, because vulnerability is something that I talk to my friends all the time, and I understand that it's a deep rooted belief that if you show your emotions, or if you're vulnerable somehow, is you're going to be manipulated. And nowadays that does happen with a lot of men being manipulated by women, and vice versa. So we have already a pretense of just being distrust, not trustworthy. So we also have that when we grow up. So we also got to pay attention on the things that our parents felt was right or believed at the time, and then correspond that with their life circumstance at the time, because what they believe in at the time or their circumstances can dictate their actual thoughts. Whether it's healthy or not, it's going to be passed on to the child. Another gender role will be, like, for example, women are are considered weak or feeble or something like that. So they are not able to do like heavy lifting or anything physically taxing, or they're just like automatically supposed to be mothers. Basically just cutting them into like a housewife's format, and not everybody fits those, right? And especially in this modern day and time, women are more inclined to have higher education and higher more opportunities for higher paying jobs than men. So if we're in that same standard of men being the provider, and if you're not a provider, you're not a man, that's also gonna be very like, it's gonna create an ill approach to like relationships. It cause a lot of resentment that's not needed, right?
Definitely.
And, is there anything you want to say?
I was gonna ask, like, what are some examples where we can, like, that we can implement now, as far as like dismantling those gender roles, like from parent to child, on a, because I like to approach it from like a personal basis. Like, what can one individual take away from this that they can literally start implementing tomorrow?
So what I noticed that kind of offends me when I see a parent do to a child is when they tell them to either like shut up, or be quiet, or curse at them, basically. But it's not necessarily the words, it's the intention. And it's the intention of that matter is to basically suppress the communication of the child. And once that is suppressed, I noticed that, of course, you're gonna feel less likely or more less inclined to speak up, especially when need to be. So they're gonna be more of a victim. You don't want your child to be a potential victim. So definitely allow them to speak, even if it
What
doesn't.
if they just being like annoying? They bouncing off the walls. You up to here with work on your desk, like, you know what I mean? Because that's a real situation. What those are what these parents, what these mothers especially really go through, right?
Well,
so like how do you channel that frustration in a healthy but effective way?
another thing it will be is to always make it a game. Always make it a game. Children love games, and even if they don't like doing something or something seems mundane, if it becomes a game, it's a challenge, and they love challenges. Challenges means something that's new. We always love new things. So whenever their energy is being sporadic and like not focused on something, have them a task that is something that's going to be likable for them already, but also make it a game. So give them a reward once done type thing. Like, oh, hey Jimmy, you know, if you if you're able to memorize this recipe that we're gonna do tonight, or help put out the ingredients or something like that, give them like a little task. I'll let you be the first one to try it, or taste it or something like that. Give them a nice reward, and it's the way you deliver it. Because also, if you're excited to give out the information, they're gonna be just excited to receive it. But if it sounds boring, they're not gonna want it, of course. So also, it's just really about delivery and approach with them. You gotta entertain kids. So it's always about using your hands, using your body, get them in movement, but just on as another thing. The fact is that the problem is that they don't have too much energy. They have just the amount of energy that they need for a kid. They just need to be focused on something. So that's all.
I like that. I really like that. And it's funny because right now, like as an adult, like I'm learning the importance and the fun of like a brain exercise, like literally just using my brain and figuring things out and learning things and being interested in things, right? Like it's fun. And as children, we're born with that, right? Like that's how kids are. It's just that as society and the world molds us into these respectable adults who have productive shit to do all the time, right? Like our focus can't be there. So then there's a disconnect with our children and we're like, y'all got too much energy. But it's like, no, we need to just we, the parents, right, are responsible for the child. We are supposed to be your guidance, right? We're potentially molding you into the best you that you can be, not into what we want you to be, but like like your best you. And that's what we're learning now as adults. So I think we're going to be raising some phenomenal can't even call them children, right? Like beings.
Can I jump in? I want to piggyback off of what you're saying about the disconnect between a parent and child. So my question to Armando, I guess, would be like, for example, with my child, because I'm a mother. So personally speaking, when I first had my daughter, she's 5 now. So when I first had my daughter, I felt like, I was gonna be the best mother ever. That's always what you assume that's gonna happen, right? So, but as she grew older and started talking and things like that, it's like I started to feel like I didn't know how to connect to her, or like how to, I guess, yeah, like basically how to connect to her and how to um have bond with her in certain levels and things like that. So what's your advice to parents who want to gain a better relationship with their children? Because that all ties into trauma, because parents are just there. They feel like if they're just there, they're a good parent. Like if they don't got to spend time with their kid, as long as they feed them, bathe them, and do the necessities, their child is good. But if you're not actually taking, spending that quality time with your child, speaking with your child, how do you open up and get to express and have those conversations with your child and have honest relationships with your children?
I love that question. First of all, thank you for giving me that question. This is gonna be a mouthful. I got a lot to say. Uh, but first, what I do, this is the first and quickest thing you can do, is to literally be in her space without, interacting. Just spectate her, but just be aware of her and let her be aware of you being aware of her. Two things can happen. First, she's gonna just want to interact with you, and you just interact on her based on how she initiates it. So she's gonna show you how what she's already resonating with. So whether she's a tactile learner, she's gonna show you through action or throw something at you or like create something for you, or she's auditory, or she will like just chat with you, or it's different ways you can go about it, but just make sure you just provide the space for her to be her. Or I'm sorry, I don't know the gender of your child, but let your child thrive.
You're right, she, her.
Okay. So that's one thing you could do. Another thing you could do, which is a little bit more in depth, is to, I'm not sure if you have any interest in astrology or numerology, but it does help you to understand the energetic being, the energies that a person possesses. So whether it doesn't matter who you are, you can know information about me just based off my birthday. So, for example, uh, if you're comfortable of saying her birthday, not the year is not important, just the month and the day. I can give you some information.
June 21st.
June 21st. Wow, boom. So right now she's a cusp between, but she's more leaning towards Cancer. So as a Cancer myself, I can give you some information on how our psyches are. So right off the bat, her awareness primarily focuses on comfortability. Comfortability is basically dealing with stability, stillness, containing, control. If things doesn't seem like she is out of control, her emotion, that deals with her emotional state directly. More than others. I mean, it seems something like, oh, that can apply to anybody. It will affect her more than others. She's also very more receptive of you emotionally. So even if you're trying to hide emotions or how you feel in front of her, it doesn't work. At least not for the short term. She's very, and also be also more aware of how you express your reactions or emotions outward, because the two and the one, well, the two is dealing with emotion, the one dealing with the thoughts, but it's a more direct. So if if the emotional development is under or is subpar, emotional volatility will occur, whether it's being like very disrespectful or lashing out with the mouth. You will have a lot of battles with verbal abuse. You don't want that to happen. So the best way is to understand her first. Let me hear where you're coming from first. Just always let her initiate. It provides her the understanding that you have boundaries for her and that you respect her and her emotions are heard. That's all literally she will need. That's as long as that's there, you're good. Also, she's also needs a lot of outlets in the creative field, right? Because we're dealing with 2+1 is 3 and dealing with creativity. But I would assume she would like to do things with her hands or like at least show things to you. Um, so or anything that she may want to like dabble in, it's best to have that source at home, because she's dealing with home. She may not be a person that is as sociable as others, at least at first, but as long as you got everything in the domicile in the home, she will be able to thrive. She likes her solitude and her comfortability in her alone time. So also, it may not be about you sometimes, it may just be about her, but don't rush her to talk either. She will hate that. I feel like she will hate that, just based off the numbers and stuff like that. So all that saying is basically she will need a space to speak and a space to create. Does that make sense? I don't know, because I mean, I saw Ocean's face and he was like,
yeah, I actually, actually some of that makes sense as based off of her personality right now. Like she's very creative, very outspoken, very all of the above. So she likes to draw, paint, things like that. She's very outspoken. She's excited about learning numbers and school. She loves school. So I mean, I feel like she's just very outgoing. So I just try to continue to express that and make her feel as comfortable, like you said, as comfortable as she can. Like get her everything she needs to be as comfortable as possible.
that's a fact. And also, because of the fact that she's a Cancer, your own self-care is just as important as your care and your relationship with her, because the state that you're in is, again, she's gonna feel that like directly. So if you feel like shit, but you trying to put on this face like I'm solid, it's gonna show some like insecurity or trust issues with you, because she can feel it. So why just let her help? She wants to help. She wants to help you. So yeah, honesty to it got to be super transparent, and just like the moon it got double sides. It's like a reflection. So she's gonna also represent as a reflection to you, even if it's just to be petty and to like prove a point of what you're doing is wrong, or what she may be doing is to justify herself. But there's also some actions to understand, so not to like be like annoyed or frustrated at her, but just to understand how she thinks, so so the communication will be more understanding. Was that did that make sense? Because I know I said a lot of words.
Yes. No, that was good. Thank you.
No problem. Hope that answered your question.
So we have a question in the chat. It says, what can parents do when they get exhausted and run out of patience? Right. So I think a lot of that was actually covered, generally speaking. But yeah, I think that it helps to always come from a place of understanding. Like if you can understand, or if you can approach compassionately, and this is where your mental wellness and your self-care comes into play, because all of that is going to help you gain that patience. It's not, like we said before, it's not the child's energy that's the problem. It's the fact that we live in this world where we sign up to get burnt out, right? We gotta work, we gotta grind, we gotta get this money. My man, you know what I mean? Like we have all of these things and we actively participate in them, so we can't get upset. It's like, it's just do the work, do the appropriate work, which is the self-work, which is the breathing, which is the meditating, which is the feeding your passions and doing the things you love. These things are going to recharge you. These things are going to, we don't operate a day in our life with a dead phone, right? How the hell can we not recharge ourselves? We would never let our devices die, like ever. Even if if it's right next to us, we'll let it die because it's there. But we always have access to charge our phones. So we need to deliberately charge ourselves, because we were not taught how. And these are the things that we have to. There's no other choice. We have to teach ourselves to do it, so that we can teach them how to tap into it effortlessly. We don't have to teach them how to do it. They already are so in tune. I love to say that children are the closest to God. Like they literally just came from wherever the hell is before or after or whatever, however they tumbled in here, they just got here. So they know what the fuck is up. It's us that's fucked up. So once we start really owning that, ownership is so important, because it's all about accountability. Once you can be accountable, self-accountable and responsible, man, life is going to change, because you realize that you have the power to make decisions, to create shit, to teach, to whatever it is that you want to do. Like you'll tap into that mindset, and that's all it is. So to that, I hope that I gave you guys a great understanding about what you can do, you know, if you are just like so energetically exhausted. And while this is a good segue into the physical portion of that, which is the food, the nutrients that we're lacking, right? Because we were raised on Similac and canned food, like, blows my effing mind. But what also blows my mind is that I personally lived a complete 180 from that lifestyle, and how quickly I transformed is just ridiculous, right? So it gives me so much hope. It give me so much passion to share my story, to tell people like, listen, you could do this too, and it's that easy. You just gotta start, and starting is the hard part. So I say all of that to say, or to continue on ways that we can practice self-preservation, because that's really what it is, right? Is feeding ourselves in the right way, getting the right, use Google, right? Like if you have, I'm so sorry, because I didn't really start Googling things until like super recently. Like no one teaches us how to freaking research, right? Sometimes research can feel so overwhelming. We literally have all the different types of information from any time period at our disposal, and it can be a lot. So it's like all about narrowing it down. So literally, a best practice is to find something that's wrong, something that in your life is a potential issue, right? Like fatigue. Why am I tired all the time? I sleep 8 hours a night. I exercise, right? But I'm always freaking tired. Well, maybe parts of your body is not getting the correct nutrients that is supposed to function correctly, to help you re-energize and live a vital life. So these are some of the ways that like we can, and then literally Google natural remedies for fatigue. You'll get a list of herbs, you'll get documentaries, you'll get YouTube sources, like, and you can do this very little by little. Like you can ease yourself into it. And I think, yeah, it'll lead you to a place where you're finding your own answers. And that's the beauty of life. When you can start finding your own answers from within and trusting that, you're going to be fine. You're going to be like, oh, okay. It's all about empowerment and finding, like literally discovering that you have the power to recharge yourself, to be the best mother, sister, friend, mate that exists, to be the best you.
Okay, I didn't want to cut you off at all, but yeah. I mean, I had so many like bullet points. I'm gonna try to go in order. But back to you was saying with when it comes to, well, how we eat and how that affects us and our physiology, but also when we're eating these meals, we want to know, is it actually sustaining us, or is it just like, we're just end up taking energy just to digest it and poop it out? What are we doing? Because a lot of the times when we do eat foods, especially uh, anything in this Western diet for that matter, we usually get the itis, right? We get the itis and we shut down, we pass out, and that's not what food is supposed to do. Like by definition, food is an energy source. So if you're getting depleted by energy being, ingested, so that's a problem. That means that you're spending way too much energy with the digestion, or trying to understand or identify what is this, let alone if it's something that's not supposed to be if it's foreign to us, it probably won't process it at all, and it will probably stick in the colon. And our colon is one of our brains. So if we're messing up one of our brains,
say that again. Say that again. Say
the
that
gut
again.
is one of our brains. It's definitely one of our three brains.
Yes,
You got the
there's a
brain.
brain in your gut.
Yeah, brain, gut, and heart. So that's another trinity, I like to say. So we usually get it confused, misconstrued when we talk about our health and how that affects our life holistically. Our emotions, the way we think, and it plays a huge part. A lot of time, I know this may be just a little tangent, because we're going to talk about epigenetics, right? So this will be segue to that. What we're eating, we have a lot of like GMOs that's affecting our genetic code, and once that's messed up on a genetic level, like you said, it's dealing with the DNA. What we eat, what we ingest affects our DNA. All forms of food, we're dealing with anything that sustains us as a being. That's foods, that's water, sunlight, sound, also affects us. We got people that likes to call us up just to tell us about toxic shit in their life. You getting that negative energy. So we're getting a lot of different forms of food that's literally depleting us. So we don't have just maybe a bad dietary standard in terms of the food, but maybe associating with different people. Maybe we got associated with different a location, because that area itself may be toxic, or we're dealing with the different channels, maybe the media, certain ideologies, beliefs that is being perpetuated. It's doing nothing but just creating poop, trash. We gotta look into that, right? So when we talk about being a product of your own environment, essentially you are what you eat, right? But also everything is a microcosm of cells, that what we see outside as above, so below, as without, so within, right? Everything is a reflection. So if you're just dealing and you live in life and everything is toxic, again, it's a reflection of what's already inside of you that you already resonate and is comfortable with. So you keep on perpetuating these outcomes one way or another. Even if we're not consciously aware of it, it's something that we're attracted to, that feels like it's a need to do in order to create that same outcome, whether it's detrimental or beneficial. So there's that. Have anything you wanted to say?
On like I think you covered that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking at them. Can we agree with? Sorry, I'm reading the comments real quick. How do you as a parent change your child's diet? You being that they can't see McDonald's and not go crazy. Okay, so you want to answer? Would you like to answer that? Basically, you want
to. So can you read it again? Why?
Yeah.
I don't see it in my chat.
It was directed to me.
Oh, it was to you. Okay.
So how do you as a parent change your child's diet?
Okay. So how old is this child?
It's
that's
5.
you. Thought it could have been Nova. Okay. How do you change your child's diet?
Like, not to cut you off, but she's young, so she's used to certain foods. She's used to chicken and fries and things like that. So it's like I'm trying my best. I'm on day 2 only.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to change my diet. I'm trying to cut out, slowly deteriorate the meat until I'm completely done with that. And I want to change my diet. And implementing that to her. Like I noticed like this morning and yesterday, I'm eating certain things. Well, she's eating certain foods that I wouldn't eat. And I feel like it's not right that I'm eating healthy and I'm giving her fries and chicken nuggets. Like,
That's, first of all, yeah, you're on it, right? Like that guilt starts to kick in, because it's like, I need to do better, but she needs to do better too, right? So the best way is to literally do what you're already doing, which is to be the example. They don't do what we say, they do exactly what we do. Read in front of her, study in front of her, and this is all related, because eating well is the thing, but the root is why you're eating well, right? So when you personally understand why you're making this transition, everything around you, including the people you have a direct impact on, will resonate out to them. And I'm saying this from experience, because in my household, of course, my first goal was to get everybody vegan. You're going vegan, you're going vegan, you're going vegan, right? Because it was like, I found this fucking treasure chest. Like, it's filled with all the jewels of in existence that you can possibly think of. And I want to literally share that with everybody, right? That's the feeling that I had, because it changed my freaking life. And I didn't realize my approach was just not attractive. It turned people off because it was judgy. It felt judgy. That's how they were taking it, right? It felt judgy. It felt like I was better than them and whatever. So I know we are talking about a 5-year-old, but the emotions exist, right? These transformations exist because you're transforming yourself, and you have those bad negative habits, right? Not eating well. Can't you still programmed to be attracted to the McDonald's symbol. So am I, right? It's subconscious, it's ingrained. We're programmed. We're literally computers. We're programmable. So it took, how old are we? 28. It took 28 years for us to get to this point. It's not going to take a 28 more, but we're going to have to logically be like, all right, it's going to take 28 more. You see what I'm saying? She was born, when you had her, you weren't transitioning. You know what I mean? You had her, you were still in those old habits. So she is a manifestation of those old habits, but she is programmable. And you're doing this at a perfect time, because she is 5 years old. And it's been scientifically proven that the first 6 to 7 years are the most impressionable. This is why we are forced into school at the age of 3 or younger in some cases. And this is when the real indoctrination system takes place. And this is why we have these eating habits, these toxic habits, this no access to our emotional intelligence, right? Because of what we went through. She is, from my knowledge, has gone through the public school system already, yes? Or the school system. She's already been influenced. You, mom, have the greatest importance or the greatest amount of importance in her life. Influence is the word I'm looking for, right? If you raise her right, if you do the right things, which you are doing, and you transition first inwardly, she is going to transition along with you. And she's at the perfect age to do so. So if anything else, let that just be motivation to keep doing what you're doing and to keep being a better you, because it's working, and it's going to continue to work as long as you continue to do it.
yeah, you're right. I guess, because even today I was meditating and she walked in the room and saw me meditating. I didn't even know, because I was so deep in. So after I left the room and I'm in the kitchen making her something to eat, she's like, "Mommy, I want to do what you was doing. You was going." So
Exactly. So we have in the chat, yeah, Nova, that's a great point. Nova says, also you can try swapping some of her favorite food with veganized versions. So yeah, and I would try to find alkaline over the processed vegan, because you know there's a vegan alternative out here everywhere, but they are made in a factory somewhere and they're just not truly from the earth, right? And in, you know, the difference, right? Should we go over the difference between plant-based and vegan? Vegan is not always healthy. So yeah, so I'll just do it really quickly. So we have the term plant-based and the term vegan, right? Plant-based is literally of fruits and vegetables, anything literally that you can plant and grow out the earth. And then there's vegan, which is anything that does not contain animal or animal byproducts. So that's your dairy, why am I meat, obviously, I don't know why I just lost that. So and that's vegan, but that can literally mean anything that's just not animals, right? So I don't know, zinc, mercury, like these are technically, is that a good example? It's just
not mercury is poisonous, but
yeah, it's poison, but and I said that for a reason, but
yeah.
I said that for a reason. But anything a man-made, you can, anything man-made, I
You're
should
right.
say.
That's a good way to explain it. For sure, for sure. Because definitely a lot of people want to think that that's the same, or at least they overlap somehow. But for the most part, so when people say vegan, it's usually like veggie patties and French
I mean,
fries.
it's super commercialized now, so anything can be vegan.
Exactly.
And you know, it helps to transition, but that really shouldn't be the goal. That shouldn't be the goal. And I still indulge, you know, I give into the human, plant-based is the way. Yeah, exactly. That should be the goal ultimately, because that's where you're going to get the most nutrients and the products that your body really needs.
Right.
That's it. That's all you're doing, is trying to sufficiently feed your body so that you can be a clean organism for your spirit to just move through and flow through and just make life easy.
Exactly. And more efficiently. Like, for example, I noticed that when I did transition, at least to even vegetarianism, whatever, I noticed that I ate less, or I ate less, but I got full faster, because we're not really eating for volume, and usually we like to connect like the pressure in our stomach to fullness and satiety, but that's not the case at all. Essentially, it has to do with amount of like minerals and vitamins that you're getting, is essential, you know, amino acids, all those nutrients. That's basically what determines your satiety. So as I transition, I noticed that also you have you don't have to cook as much. You at least bulk every single time. Sometimes, or well, the food will last longer, either or. But also, it saves money actually in the long run. People think that veganism also is expensive ordeal, and I will beg to differ, because at the most part, the things that you will be buying is usually that is mainly for every dish. It's the necessities, like beans, cheap rice, or certain types of rice may be a little bit more expensive, but if you get in bulk, it will still be more cost effective. That's going your greens. Greens aren't that expensive, especially because when you're doing per pound, you can pick what you can afford. So there's that. Then that's pretty much like 40% of the diet itself. Then you want to get into some fruits, right? Boom, boom. You can get in a pack. You know, there's ways to go around it. So it's nothing's hard unless you. I know, right? I know. I sometimes you know, the white chocolate. My killer, my culprit was the white chocolate Kit Kats. I used to bang them out 4 at a time, stack them up. I freeze them in the freezer. Now it takes, it gets all hard, so you gotta break that shit hella hard. I was with it, but and they got the miniature ones too. They be trifling. They don't want a person to succeed. So
Yo,
I will say this is what I want also.
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
But it's all good. I was gonna add on to what you was saying about like how to like transition your child. I will just add on. Now it's nothing too crazy, but in addition to being the role model, the main be the propaganda of what you want to represent to your child through your actions, right? I agree with that. And then at the same time, the things that you do do not want her to have as well, without being too direct with it, have it be presented in a way in which she understands the harm in it or the negative effects. Because whenever she associates back to that food item, she can understand the detrimental effects as well. Because people will avoid pain or try to alleviate themselves from pain or danger faster than pleasure. So there's that. So when they have a different association to the thing, they will have a different approach without being condescending as well. Just it's all about energy. I mean, I feel like you will find a way that's suitable for you that though you can implement. But according, it's because everybody's different. Also, the when in the comments, definitely try the veganized version. Yes, definitely just follow Veganease page. Follow Vanessa's page. She got a YouTube channel too. That get a jiggy with it when it comes to the videos and the recipes.
She's tapped in. She's tapped in.
I'm gonna be doing the same thing as well. We're gonna make sure that vegan recipes is gonna be the main type recipes because I feel like I don't think it's hard. I just feel like as long as people know that you can use a couple items that you already have in your household to make it popping, then it'll be nothing stopping for sure. Like what you just dropped, I think yesterday with the vegan cheese, the vegan cashew cheese.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Couple things. You can go right across the street and get those things right now.
Super easy, super easy. We just have to, have grace with ourselves and remember that we were not taught this, or any of it. Like now we're really having to learn how to live, and it's a process. So, the vegan journey is a journey like any other journey. It's a journey. It's a process. You're gonna feel like you falling back. You're gonna feel like ordering some Pizza Hut. You're gonna actually eat some chicken one day. Like, I mean, it's real, right? And okay, like keep going, because you're gonna stop and you're gonna end up right back where you was trying to leave from. So it don't make sense. Or you could do that, but eventually you're gonna have enough of it and you're gonna be like, all right. So just stay the course and remember why, and that's for anything in life. But I think we covered a whole lot, right?
Yeah. Oh, it was just one. Wasn't one else? Well, technically it's two. But.
Yeah, but I just feel like looking at the list, like we encompass, at least those last two. As far as, the traumas, how the traumas play themselves out today, right now, right?
Yeah, I'm satisfied. I just want to make sure everything's all good. I feel like that as well. I mean, I can always elaborate, but I think that's just me. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we're feeling, well, I feel good.
All right.
I feel
Then
good.
let's leave on a high
I
note.
feel good. I feel good. How you feeling, Liz?
I feel good. This is dope.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anybody have any more questions?
I guess I have one question. Since you talked about you're a Reiki master, or you do
Yeah.
Reiki? I guess it's so funny because I know all these people who do Reiki, and I'm just like, what is Reiki? But I guess like, how would you say, like, how do you I know a little bit about Reiki, but like, how would you say, like, what do you think the relationship between like healing trauma and like how does Reiki support that process? You know what I mean? Or like, if you had to give like someone like one or like 3 tips on like how to integrate Reiki into their own healing, like what would you say?
Okay. Well, to answer that question, I will probably answer it in a more broader approach, so you can apply it to not just trauma, but to anything, any aspect in life. Because with chakras,
Is that clear?
oh, wait, are you able to hear me? Is it cutting out? It's good.
It's cutting out a little, but you're good.
Okay. Because with chakras, it's basically just energy centers, right? They all have a different value, a different signature, a different place in life. So when we dealing with Reiki though, it's essentially using universal energy, the energy that's within you, that flows through the person that's being the person that's being you know done onto. It's all energy that we share in that in life is universal, right? So it's just using that energy to excite those centers within you, right? To bring awareness towards it. Because essentially, when all Reiki masters will tell you that, oh, it's not me that's healing you, and essentially that's true. Because I'm not essentially healing anyone. I'm allowing or facilitating you to be more introspective towards yourself, right? So it's basically allowing you to look within a certain area of life. And when you're able to be aware, this is the power of the mind. I'm telling you, the thoughts create reality. So when you're able to be aware of certain things, this is becoming in your reality now. So it will be more practical, more tangible to fix it or to, provide a solution for it. Because other times we'll be distracted with different types of stress. So whenever you're dealing with Reiki, usually the person, typical effects will happen, like the person will go to sleep and whatnot, and that will allow the person to fully, relax and alleviate themselves. But however, that essentially what's happening is you're no longer in your vessel, right? You're in the spirit, right? So you're just dealing with basically the realm where everything was taking place in your trauma, your emotions, because the emotions is dealing with the metaphysics, right? The non-seen, can't see emotions. But this is the realm you're now in, right? With that, you're able to travel and deal with it all over again. And that's what the thing about trauma is, healing it, because you have to go back to the same place where you were hurt in order to understand that 360, because 360 is your surroundings, your experience in that moment of time. And with that, it's is that impactful, is that traumatic, is that intense, and is that direct, that is going to cause you to either do 2 things, either to change, or you're going to find something, because it's always within you. And that's not a bullshit statement. That's literally straightforward. I can't make that any more mystical. It's already inside you. And we're just providing that. We're pretty much like a flashlight, and we're just showing you where to focus at. And that alone causes those benefits to happen as well. So, such as, you're less stressed, or, let cure from anxiety, or this and that. It's a lot of things that happen. But essentially, that's the breakdown. That's the behind the scenes. The blueprint of it all is just to excite awareness in a certain, field in your life, to, cause, more thoughts, more emotions, which is movement of your thoughts, which cause 3, in action. So that's my take on it. A more metaphysical standpoint, because some people will give you more generic. It'll probably be more easier to understand, but I'd rather just elaborate so you understand. Like, it's a little deeper than this, but it's not at the same time.
That was a great answer to that one. Did that answer your question, Liz? Liz?
Oh, you was muted, but
Yeah, that was I frozen? Yeah, that did.
Oh, okay.
I feel like I'm gonna have to just have a Reiki session, because I don't know why Reiki feels so abstract to me. Like I know, like I understand the chakras, and of course the different ways you can work with trauma and energy, but Reiki just feels so abstract. I don't know why.
it is actually, and that's what kind of intrigued me to like dive into it, because it's like, what you talking about, Willis? Like, you can heal people distantly as well. You don't even gotta hover over them. Like, what is this going on? Because I really felt like that was like kind of like the epitome of like one of those like bullshit psychic tellers, or like, fortune tellers, or horoscope, one of those psychic advisors. Like, that was like kind of shady to me, and so I had to go behind the scenes and whatnot to understand that, oh, okay, this is what it's talking about. When things are demystified, it's clear cut, rational answers to things, because we don't want to make things that can potentially benefit people hidden. And I feel like that's what the world is doing nowadays, just hiding shit that's beneficial. So I have to be real about it. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Right? So if anybody else got any more questions, if not, then we can wrap it up.
Yeah. I'm cool. You said let's end on a high note. So hi. What?
Take care, everybody. Take care, Queens.
Thank you guys for being here. We are doing part 2 next week, same day, same time. Hopefully, no, we definitely we'll be strapped in, no technical difficulties, starting on time. I hope you guys were all able to take something away, and again, appreciate you for showing up for yourselves and for us. Thank you.